welcome to Horror Movies and Beyond, a show about reviewing horror movies for the living to understand the dead. I'm your host, Ivotres Littles, and this is Shudderary, where we go behind the screens of Shudder original and exclusive movies. Today, I have a really awesome and talented guest, Jessica Seitz. She's one of the makeup and practical effects artists from Shudder exclusive movie, Jakob's Wife. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, how you been?
Really busy, which is a good thing. I'm not complaining about that. Had a few more things like released towards the end of the year that I did effects on, and I'm currently directing American guinea pig film called Chum Bucket, and which is about sharks, and I'm very excited for that. And we're actually down to the just shooting the effects portion of that as well. So it's all nice and goopy in my house right now.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun. There's nothing wrong with a little goop. So I contacted you because you did some special effects on Jakob's Wife. Which is an exclusive movie, and it's currently streaming on Shudder. We will talk about the film. There will be some spoilers, but mostly we're going to get to see some little fun stuff that she did. Give us an example and talk about it, and I don't know, maybe show us something. Maybe.
Oh yeah, I got a few tricks up my sleeve.
So this one is a really, really special Shudderary video. A lot of people don't praise what really goes on behind the scenes to make people look the way they do, look like monsters, fake blood, scars. It takes a lot of work, and I'm so happy to have someone who does that for a living. She does other stuff. She produces, she directs, she does everything right. But today we're going to talk about a little bit about the special effects. So how did you get into it?
Well, I started with just cosmetology. I say just. Anyone who's been through cosmetology school knows that that's like not an easy thing. I went to the Paul Mitchell Academy in St. Louis, and really found myself leaning more towards the makeup side of things. So after I got out of school, that's kind of was my main focus, was just straight makeup, and also reviewing it for at the time Gothic Beauty magazine, and Lip Service way back in the day had a little webzine. So I would review products like for them and did that kind of thing. And it fell through by the wayside for just like a hot minute, and I got back into it in January of 2019. I got hired on with my partner Marcus Cook to do a Western film, and called Eminence Hill. And it had Dominique Swain and Lance Hendrickson in it, and through that I got to really start getting into more of the gore angle of it, and I was like, this is what I really love. And since then I've just been like full tilt, like embracing that.
Oh, that sounds exciting. I mean, it sounds like a hell of a journey to find exactly what you know you were made to do.
And yeah, it was, I like that like phrasing of it, because it definitely felt like a journey, but like it's like when you find like your thing, like you're just, everything else in your life sort of like opens up, with that.
Yeah, I get it. I understand. So we're going to talk about Jakob's Wife a little bit. And it, like I said, it's streaming right now on Shudder. So Jakob's Wife is about Anne, who's married to a small town minister, and she feels her life is just not going anywhere. She encounters a master who gives her a sense of power, but it comes with a price. And it stars Barbara Crampton, which is, she could do no wrong. I love Barbara Crampton. Bonnie Aarons, who is the master, and Larry Finn, I feel like I'm going to say his last name wrong. I think it's Fencidin.
Super
Fessiden.
close. The Fezidin. It's
There we
weird.
go.
It's
Yeah.
funky.
And he plays Jacob. So, how did you get involved with that project? Because that sounded like that was just like bundles of just, I don't know, excitement.
Yeah. It's literally my dream project in so many like crazy ways. Larry was actually somebody who I had been wanting to work with for the last 17 years and it just had never happened, and I was just like, at some point in some capacity I want to work with Larry. And I mean, Barbara Crampton grew up with her, and as you said, she can do no wrong. She's amazing. And then Bonnie Aarons is like the character actor like of our time, right? So I got into this because my partner Marcus Cook, he had previously worked with the director Travis Stevens on a bunch of things that Travis had produced. So Travis has like this super heavy background in producing a lot of like really cool stuff prior to him like stepping into like the director's chair with first Girl on the Third Floor and then Jacob's Wife. So him and Marcus had a great rapport, particularly with the film We Are Still Here, which also of course like has like Larry in it. And Marcus has also worked with Barbara again, like on several occasions. So they were very familiar with his work. And so I just got to be very, very lucky. And it was like that right time and right place. And I got to be on the shoot with them. And so that's how I got hired on as well. So it was pretty like nerve wracking because I was like, oh shit, man, this is like, this feels like a real movie, what am I doing? But everyone was like actually like really, really super nice and welcoming and very respectful. So it was a good experience.
Okay. So on the movie, how much of the makeup effects did you do? Did you do all of it? Or most of it, or
the makeup stuff is it's a real big point of pride for us because like when you see that movie and the huge cast and everything, there were only 3 people for makeup at all. So Mary Check was the primary makeup artist in charge of making everybody look very beautiful. She worked on Barbara, like with that fantastic wig that doesn't even like look like a wig, and all this. And so it was Mary on straight makeup. On some of the bigger scenes, I would help her out like a little bit with the straight makeup stuff. And then it was just Marcus and I on the practical like effects like side of things. And he's the blood guy. So those like fantastic like kill scenes where it's just like spurting out like at 1,000 watts like a minute. That's all his genius and his rigs, At one point, he actually used the same thing that you use to like pump out like your basement with. We dropped that in like a big bucket of blood, and that's where you get that one specific kill scene with Naisha Bell, which I don't want to ruin like too much of it, but it's
by this time it's spoilers.
Right? It's been out for a minute. But yeah, that like throat rip is actually us putting like the sub pump into gallons of blood. It just like high spraying like out of there, which was crazy. So a lot of my work is the makeup, like so like on Bonnie, like the applying of like that like pink around her eyes and getting like that gray flesh tone down. Marcus and I worked together to kind of like create the look, and then that was me applying it, and then he does more of like the prosthetics like angle of it, so like her like ears and like the little like cape that you see like her wearing, and her cap, excuse me. and like the little like neck wounds were his prosthetics, which I would like then apply and then go in with like the like specialty makeup, like the eye blood and just like the good gunky gooey icky stuff. I did and I did the nails as well, for both the Master and Barbara's vampire nails, and also like that charred makeup mouth was me when you see.
Okay, that was pretty cool.
And that's like my favorite image in the whole thing. And then Marcus and I also like collaborated together on the teeth. So the teeth for all of the characters when the vampire fangs are actually hand painted with an alcohol palette. So that was me like getting in there hand painting those little chompers, So yeah, it was a lot of stuff.
It sounds like a lot of stuff, but it looked fantastic though. It was you did a fantastic job. I mean, all you guys did.
Yeah.
But now that I know specifically the mouth on Barbara when she was getting her teeth done and she started burning up. That was you. That was you with
me.
So yeah, it does look cool because she was like that for a little bit.
Yeah, it like really holds on it, and Travis really liked that like imagery of her. And then she's got her vampy nails like on, and of course like it's fun to make. This is why I do better on this side of things. I like to make people monstery and kind of like ugly and stuff. So it's like, why do pretty nails when you can do like crazy monster nails on somebody? It's like way more fun.
So for the nails, was it glued or how do you guys?
So for Bonnie's nails, with Barbara, it was press-ons that had been kind of done up more vampy. But with Bonnie, we actually cast Bonnie's fingers in silicone, made little finger molds like for her that only came up to maybe like about like this part. Poured plastic into the molds, painted them up, and then made these like way crazy like extended fingernails. And so the plastic nail would go onto her finger with the crazy extended nail, and that would like elongate her fingers and allowed us to get like really bubbly and like a gross with the texture. And then we put like a little bit of silicone on just to kind of blend it all together and make her monster hands.
Oh, okay. And the teeth, were they like I don't know, like how did you guys make the teeth? Because Barbara grew an extra set.
She's really good at what she does. She can actually.
I know. So I know, right? Did you guys make the teeth and then put them in the mouth, or?
We did. So we took molds of Barbara's teeth and Bonnie's and Naisha's, and made like a nice like hard plaster mold of their mouth, and then we sculpted onto that so they would like fit flush like with their gums and stuff. And then individually made each tooth. So every tooth is like hand sculpted, made into a mold, and then cast in plastic, and then like attached into the gum line that was the actors, and then hand painted. So they were very.
How did you keep them in their mouth? Like what?
It was a bit of a trial and error. At the end of the day, chewing gum worked the best.
Really?
Yeah. Because it's like they'd snap in, but after the actor like gets to talking or like just certain circumstances, it starts to like kind of like fall out. So we had some dental putty at like one point, but that was giving us like a little bit of problems, and so chewing gum wound up like holding the best.
Get denture cream. Right. Try juicy fruit.
Get some juicy fruit up there. It'll be fine.
Wow, tastes good too. Wow.
And a lot of that is with effects. It's you have like these grandiose ideas sometimes of like, I'm going to use like the most expensive materials and like, you know, all this kind of stuff. And sometimes that stuff just, you know, farts out on you. Like one of my favorite bits of trivia is when the hand is getting eaten away by the rats and you see the nice little bone sticking up. Marcus carved that out of a twig. That's literally like a little twig bone. Like, it looks amazing.
I know. A twig. I'm telling you, practical effects, you really have to think on your toes. You really have to think outside the box. No one would think you use some bubble gum to hold some prosthetic teeth in your mouth and using a twig out, you know, from a tree to make bone.
To make bone, right?
I mean, but it did the job. It really did the job, and you could see that. So, hey,
it's whatever works is like the ultimate motto.
Especially if you're on set, time is money, and you got to. Yeah. If something doesn't work out, you got to grab me that twig over there. There we go.
And he like MacGyvered that, man. I was like, did you just sculpt this like out of a twig? And it looked fantastic. So
wow. Okay, and the blood. Wait, the rats. Was any of those fake? Did you guys have any fake rats?
We did have some fake rats.
Okay.
We found, like a couple cute little fake rats for that, you know, that could withstand. But then the rest of the little ratties were real. And that was just somebody who had a lot of rats. They were like breeder people. And
so you use real rats too?
Yeah. Oh, wow. So a lot of them were real. And she just had like a tub of rats.
How did you keep them contained? Were they trained?
They were responsive. I won't say like trained, but they were very like responsive and friendly. And we had made these makeshift walls and then just sort of like had the rats like scurrying around. And it's like all of us kind of being like rat wranglers, you know, like, okay, let's, you know, hold these walls up and like do a head count, you know, make sure like we have them all in the scenes over.
That's funny. How many rats were there?
Oh, I'd say at the most, probably like about like 15 in like the really big scenes, and then normally like 2 or 3 like show rats, you know.
Oh, okay. That's still a lot of rats.
It was a lot of rats.
So the blood is always tricky, I hear, to make it look very real. Is there a process that you have to do overnight to make it, or is it just you just throw some chemicals together, or do you make it from scratch, or you buy tubs? Like, how do you do that?
We actually prefer to like make ours like from scratch. I think that I might be putting like a few people like on the spot here, you know, but some of like the blood companies, it's very expensive for something that you could like actually make at the grocery store and make it look a lot better. So our base is Karo syrup, so just like the clear pancake syrup essentially. Red food coloring, and a little bit of green, which sounds weird, but it adds like a texture to the red that makes it feel like more real as opposed to like a 70s paint looking like red. Mm-hmm. And then it like gets into like what you need to use it for, like what we do like next for it. So if we have to like pump out gallons of it, you know, we're gonna like add water and like a little bit of like grit like to it, you know, so it will like hold up when it sprays like through the tubes. So that's normally like a coffee creamer type of thing, and let it like dissolve and mix it up like really good in there. If it is supposed to look like coagulated, we put like different like fillers in there and stuff that really like chunks it up so it looks like it's been sitting longer. And we tend to add a little bit more blue to it too, so it's just like is darker. And then to get it to sit right on a prosthetic, or on the skin for that matter, sometimes it has a tendency to like bead up weird, you know, and that's kind of like a problem. But if you just put like a little bit of dish soap on the skin before you like hit it like with blood, or you add a tiny bit to the blood itself, it will streak like very naturally.
Oh,
So yeah, a lot of it, we make our blood normally for like, I don't know, like under $10, like a gallon, like for
okay.
it. Yeah, like with the stuff from the stores. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
So, are you ready to show us what you're going to show us? I don't know. I don't know
yeah.
what she's going to show us, but
I have some fun stuff to show you
so
guys, and so I like to like when I'm like showing people how to do stuff, like there's like expensive materials, you know, like silicone and latex, and that really like adds up after a while. And we do use it like in the films, but if you're just trying to like get your foot in the door, or maybe your like film doesn't have that big of like a budget, I always like to try to show people things that they can use that are like more easily obtainable and not like thousands of dollars, you know. So
Mhm.
I brought like my three little favorite like just kind of thingies here.
All right.
This is the Krylon Bruise wheel. It's just like a cream makeup, and you know you've got like a nasty green, like a weird yellow, a blue, a deeper red, and a purple kind of thing in there.
Mhm.
Um, I like to use scar wax for like a nice quick buildup. This is awesome because it's like not as like opaque, so you can like blend it into a lot of different skin tones and textures, and it will also take paint well too. So if you've got to like try to match or like blend, you're not going to have to fight it for that long. You can get this at any Halloween store or like Party City like kind of thing, or you can find it really
Mhm.
cheap online. And then this little guy is one of my super favorite products. It's Thin Nye Fresh Scab. And
Some fresh scabs.
Fresh Scab. And it is like exactly what it says it is.
Oh,
It's,
really?
yeah, super goopy. And that's like what it just looks like out of the jar.
Does it have a
It's just,
smell?
yeah,
D-
not really. Like, it just kind
Oh,
of smells like makeup, like a foundation. But it
oh,
looks like it would smell bad.
yeah, it does.
But it's one of my favorite finishing projects, or just like last minute like type of deals that I love.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm gonna show how to do like a little wound, you
Okay,
know,
okay.
to like impress like first dates, or you know, get out of work or something, you know, whatever you might need it for.
I know, right?
And so I'm gonna demonstrate on this hand here.
Okay.
And one thing that you always want to do is like lay down a little makeup line, because that's going to add depth to what you're doing. It might not seem like it shows up, but you notice when it's not there.
Oh,
So,
okay. Do you need to clean whatever you're going to put makeup on, like with alcohol or anything?
um, with this kind of stuff with the cream makeup, I don't think you really need to like clean anything like with it.
Hmm.
When you're dealing with like maybe like a powder, then you want to really make sure that you're like wiping it down like with alcohol first, because any little debris is just going to make that powder look like somebody has like leprosy or something.
Unless that's the effect you're going for.
Unless it's what you're going for, then have at it. Be like, no, wash your face for 5 days and let me have you. It'll be great.
Oh, wow.
So I put down a little red streak there, and now I'm going in with a little bit darker like blue. I'm
Hmm.
gonna hit the edges. Just,
Now for the colors, it would depend on the skin uh,
yes.
tone. Like darker
Mhm.
skin, like me, would you would use different colors, right?
I
To
would. Yeah, absolutely. And that's like a great point. Like with like the darker skin tones, I go like just like a little bit like brighter and like concentrated on there. That way it's gonna like pop up, you know, like up out of the
mm,
skin tone. So you do always want to be careful even when doing like the blood and stuff. You know, and just be like aware of like who you're putting it on. You know, there's no like one size like fits all when it comes to like even like gory makeup, you know.
mhm. So even with blood, you would have to put something in it to lighten it to show better on me, or is it kind of the same all the way around?
With blood, I find that it's a little bit more like universal, like with that,
Oh,
like as
okay.
opposed to there. The only time that I would go brighter with the blood, it wouldn't be like dependent on the skin tone, but sometimes directors really want like a really like keyed up like type of blood, so they kind of don't want it to necessarily look real. They want it to look more like a 70s slasher film type of
Mm-hmm.
deal. And in that case, it would be still your base would be K-Row, the red, and then I put in yellow, and it really makes it just like like super, yeah, like bright, like on there. But yeah, like in terms of like with just the regular blood, I tend to use like the same recipe like with that one. Yeah.
Oh, oh,
Yeah. So
okay.
we're getting a little more into it here. This is with the scar wax. And so I like
So
kind of like,
does it, because you have it up a little bit, it looks like kind of protruding from the skin upward. Does
yeah,
it ever fall? Or how do you
this
keep
does.
from?
It doesn't really fall. The only downside to it is if you're working on a set and the actor has to like sweat a lot, like in it, or it's gonna get like wet, it wouldn't hold up. It would kind of like slide off the actor's skin in that point. But if you're just kind of doing something a little bit more staticky, or you're wanting to do something for a photo shoot, this stuff works really great. And
Oh,
it,
okay.
yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah, if you can get into there, it like blends into the skin
Mm-hmm.
just by like pulling it down a little bit. And you can kind of play with it, and it starts to really make that instant built up texture, like for a
Mm-hmm.
wound, all nice and icky.
Do they have many different colors? Or
they
do you have that color, you have to mix it to make it more my skin tone?
with this one, I would go in with for your skin tone with a Krylon like makeup, so a cream like base.
Oh, so you go over it.
And I would go
Oh,
over it, like stipple it in there to like match your skin tone on that.
oh, okay.
And it goes pretty good, like with like the cream like makeup, and then you can kind of like pull it, and then that starts to look even more like I got my
Oh,
hand slashed like in there.
okay.
Which is another thing I like, because this is just sort of like instant wound here. And so, yeah. When
It's
it's
like
like,
I want some of that now.
oh yeah, it's so much fun to play with. I mean, it's gross. Don't get me wrong, but it's
So did
yeah.
you use any of that on Barbara's face when she was burnt up on the lips, like around her mouth, or is that all makeup?
That is a little bit of silicone in there, which is a little bit more like expensive, like of a material, but it's like has a bubbled up, like almost like little silicone bubbles, and then
Oh.
like going in there and kind of like pushing up underneath the bubbles, like the gray patches,
Mm-hmm.
and then hitting it like with like the charred like type of stuff. So
Oh.
there's like a little bit of like texture like underneath the makeup, and
Oh.
I think like texture like really like sells stuff. It keeps it from like looking like too flat or anything. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm kind of going nuts like with this guy here too. And jaggedy skin like always looks better. Like you don't want any smooth edges when you're trying to like realistically like sell a wound.
That
Because
looks like a wound. Before you even did anything else, it just looks like, girl, what happened?
like a little, I know this like stuff, it'll get you like really far, and I definitely
It
keep it
looks
like
really thick. Does it last a long time? Those depends
it
on how much you're
does.
using.
I
Okay.
think it lasts like a really long time, like because this was just probably like a pea-sized amount that I was able to like stretch up over there. So
Okay.
yeah, even just like a tub like that will like last me like about a year, like definitely through like a few different film sets.
Okay.
And then I got my fresh scab out, which is really
It.
gross.
Ugh.
And then
So you don't need to do anything to keep it on there. You just put it on there.
Yeah, you just like stick it right on. So it works really great like in a pinch. And like I said, it won't hold up really the best on like a super hot day. Or like if you're shooting outside, you know, in the rain, it'll trash it pretty good, you know. But if you're doing something where it's like an interior shot, or like the director's like, man, I just need like a little bit more something on the face or a little cut here, or if you're doing something cool for a photo shoot, it's like one of my favorite things to use. And so because the fresh scab is like really ultra thick and like very, very gooey, I like to kind of just put it on in like a more splattery, like random pattern. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then it looks like
Oh.
that. And it also covers like all sins, as I say. Like, you know, if you're like getting like some seams showing or something, it's gonna like cover that up and like make it look like, you know, way
Mm-hmm.
better. But yeah, it's kind of got like a little zombie rip bite like tear thing going to it. We'll flick a little
Yeah.
more, and there we go.
Okay.
And super super simple stuff. I think probably the most expensive thing out of here is like the fresh scab, and I want
Mm-hmm.
to say that runs like 15 a jar, but it lasts like a really long time too, because that was just like a little finger like worth that I put on there. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it spreads really good. And
Do
then
you ever make your own scabs?
I like to, and like in a perfect world, I totally like try to make my own like congealed. But then there's other times where I'm just like running the clock out, and I'm like, no need to be a hero. There's already this awesome product that I could just get and put it on and call it a day.
So is it still on you, or you didn't wipe it off?
um, the hand part it's still on,
Okay,
and I
yeah,
just
like
got off the.
show it again, like up close, like
Oh
up to
yeah,
the
yeah.
see the wound there. Ah, that is pretty cool. And that was very simple and to the point. See, and on camera that would look even worse, like a
Oh yeah.
gross. Yeah.
Yeah, you get the right like lighting and like the atmosphere on it, and it sells really well. And I think that like if anyone would ask me like for advice with it, it's the simplest stuff is the most effective. You know, there's no
Hmm.
need to get like over complicated like with it, or try to like throw too many things like into the mix, because it's just gonna like kind of bog down the effect and not really translate too well anyway. um
Hmm.
Three simple steps, three simple ingredients, like if you will, and like you've really got something that's gonna like pop for you.
Oh, okay. On the set of Jacob's Wife, what was the most challenging effect that you had to do?
So we were shooting in February in Mississippi, which is still pretty cold out there in that time. And I would say that the biggest challenge was Bonnie Aarons's makeup, the master. Um,
Hmm.
just trying to keep that like set through the whole shoot, because it was a cream and silicone based like makeup, so it had a tendency to move around like quite a bit. Um, and I mean, and that just like happens like with those types of makeups. But you know, you're into like a 3 hour shoot like at night when it's like very cold, you know, and like
Hmm.
the actor has to like wipe their nose or just live like a human being, you know. And it's you know, they're not mannequins. So it was a challenge to just try to keep that up and keep the continuity like going like with it, you know, and keeping like the actors like comfort, even though it's like super cold, and after a while you just have to be like exposed, you know, like she can't put on like a scarf, she can't put on gloves, you know,
Hmm.
and that kind of thing. So I would say that that was probably the most challenging, and that was definitely like because of the weather, you know, just making it hard with like the outside shots and stuff. So
Oh, okay. So how was it working with her, Bonnie and Barbara and everyone else? How was that experience?
oh my gosh, they're all angels. Like Barbara, as you know, because you've had her. She's a literal like earth angel, and
Hmm.
she was a producer on this too. So it was very cool to see her also in that role. So
Hmm.
she and it wasn't like one of those like vanity credits, you know, because some people are like, oh, my producer, but they didn't like do anything. Barbara, Barbara was like solving problems. So not only was she like preparing for these like really like crazy scenes, but she was also like doing so much like behind the camera and making sure like we had everything like we needed and that it was going off like without a hitch and that like people were showing up on time. And yeah, she just did an incredible job as a producer. So it was very cool to see her work in that capacity as well. I mean, Bonnie Aarons, like I said, she's like legend. She's like freaking hilarious. She would have us like cracking up like all the time. She's got like such a funny sense of humor and like, I mean, the best stories, you know. I mean, she's worked with like David Lynch, you know. So I mean, she's just has this incredible career behind her, but she's just like very funny and warm in person. And Larry was wonderful. Like everything that I had wanted, which was great because sometimes you meet people that you admire and they're like total jerks, but he was not. And CM Punk is also in the movie, my favorite wrestler, and I tried not to fangirl too hard, but that was like a little difficult. But he was also like very nice, and yeah, I mean everybody was just really into what they were doing. And I think that that is what has made the movie so special, is because I think that that translates on screen, you know, is that people were really like feeling that one.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. It was fun, it was gory. If you love vampires, I mean, it just had everything you could ever want in a good horror film. And the effects were amazing, and thank you so much for that. So if you guys want to check out Jakob's Wife, it is streaming right now on Shudder. It is really, really good if you have not checked it out. So thank you so much. This is amazing to speak with you and to show a sample of your work. But this girl does everything: produce, direct, write, nonstop. So where can people find you?
I am on Twitter mostly these days. Twitter, a little bit of Instagram, but sometimes I forget Instagram exists and then I don't update it like forever. So Twitter is definitely the best place to find me. Acid Goth Forever is my handle on there. And yeah, just like shout out, I love talking horror movies and like weird stuff. So I'm always up for that.
Those are always the best conversations when you could talk about weird stuff.
Yeah. Weird.
So thank you guys for watching Shudderary. If you want more videos like this, please like, subscribe, and don't forget to leave a comment. At the end of this video, more Shudderary videos are coming your way. So make sure you check out Jakob's Wife and make sure you follow Jessie right here. She's amazing. So thank you guys very much. Until next time. Bye.